When you're ready, let's roll.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chair. This bill has been referred to already. It would establish an extended producer responsibility program for the most dangerous household hazardous waste products. Now, we have thousands of everyday products that are classified as household hazardous waste. They pose serious threats to human health and the environment if improperly managed. I think everyone, in the end of the day, knows what extended producer responsibility is about. It's about ensuring that we're able to collect these products and dispose of them in a safe manner. One of the challenges, of course, is that even if a person knows that a product is toxic, it can't simply be thrown away. Many communities don't have a convenient system for safely collecting the waste. And this universe of products can be collected at a local waste facility, and when those facilities are open to the public, that differs from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Both are usually a function of what jurisdictions can afford. We're starting to see collection and disposal costs increasing. Cities and counties are now having to raise their rates to cover the costs, or they have to reduce their services, further reducing convenience for local residents. And this really is impacting our local government's ability to do their important work. The states offered some limited grants in this space to provide for some, the construction of new facilities or expanding existing facilities, but funding, as is often the case, has fallen really short of what's needed to keep pace. And just to give you an example, CalRecycle's facilities grant program has a cap of $5 million a year. One new facility in Sonoma, the cost is between 13 and 15 million. So we got these crushing costs of managing the waste and the lack of convenient access to proper disposal systems. So this bill steps in and asks the producers to help be part of the solution. Help us. You guys are the ones producing the most toxic consumer product out there. Please form a producer responsibility organization similar to what we have established under SB 54 and other EPR legislation. That organization, run by industry with important safeguards and oversight, will be tasked with enhancing accessibility and fully funding the safe collection, transportation, and disposal of this waste. So just like in SB 54, the program will accomplish several important goals. It allows producers themselves to cost-effectively improve access to convenient disposal of household hazardous waste. They can either fund an improved system or they can create an alternative. The bill also requires robust education, and outreach to ensure that consumers know which products are toxic and how to handle them properly. And lastly, since the bill requires producers to fund the system and bases the fees on the material's toxicity, the bill will encourage producers ultimately to invest in less toxic alternatives. If a producer would prefer not to participate in the PRO, they can then reformulate their product to a non-toxic alternative, and thus they wouldn't have to be subject to the rules of the bill. The essential problem is that under our current system, producers do not consider end-of-life costs when formulating their products, and those costs don't appear on their balance sheets. They're not part of the calculation. They're not held accountable, and it's ultimately the taxpayers in individual communities whose local governments are forced to make these difficult decisions about, and they're ultimately left holding the bag with regards to the safe disposal of these products. So by requiring producers to cover the cost of safely disposing of the products that they're pushing out of the market, producers will finally have some skin in the game. That's what this bill is ultimately all about. And Heidi's here to present, along with Melissa from the cities.
Thank you, Senator Allen, and thank you, Vice Chair Daly and members. My name is Heidi Sanborn. I am the Executive Director of the National Stewardship Action Council. We advocate for an equitable circular economy, and we are basically the nation's experts in extended producer responsibility policy. We're proud to be the sponsors of this bill, and household hazardous waste is something that's been a passion of mine for a very long time. I've personally worked on EPR since 2006. When I was a consultant, I actually delivered a report to the then Waste Management Board on the end-of-life framework for analyzing policy approaches for waste management. And I concluded at that time, after looking at over 70 different policies from around the world, that the very best policy approach, especially for hazardous waste, which has no end-of-life market, there's no way to really sell it, is an extended producer responsibility approach. And the Waste Board accepted that report back in 2007. In 2009, Assemblymember Chesbrough actually introduced a bill that was a framework approach to many waste products, AB 283, which would have created the California Stewardship Act and established a framework of producer responsibility, but it failed to pass. And since then, the state has been taking on products one product at a time, and that's fine. We've learned a lot from all these different products that we've passed bills on. And in the hazardous waste category, the first one that we actually worked on as co-sponsors was mercury thermostats in 2008. Carpet and paint happened in 2010, and then mattresses in 2013, medicines and needles in 2018, and then batteries and packaging in 2022. So there's lots of history now. We know how to do this. We know how to do it well. And if we don't do something now that's more of a framework approach for the remaining household hazardous waste, we will end up with a producer-run organization, one bill at a time as we keep going. And that is very hard. We've already talked to Clean Harbors, one of the waste haulers, and they've told us, please don't do any more PROs, just give us one PRO. I was appointed to the California Statewide Commission on Recycling Markets and Curbside Recycling, where I was elected chair by my fellow commissioners, and we developed 34 policy approaches that we gave to the legislature, many of which thankfully have become law since, but the number one recommendation and the first one that we made was that household hazardous waste go under an EPR approach. And that's why we're so excited that Senator Allen agreed to carry the bill and sees it as a priority. And the commissioners all supported it. We had the Teamsters, we had the waste haulers, we had a broad stakeholder group of 17 commissioners on that commission. And in February, we participated in a tour that included the Cal Waste Recovery Facility in Lodi and well, actually Galt. And they actually only accept blue bin recycling materials, and they are spending $150,000 a year processing 183,000 pounds of household hazardous waste that's ending up in the recycling bins because they don't have an alternative. And I know time is of the essence, so I'm going to wrap it up by saying we really appreciate this is finally coming to the front, and hopefully this will be the last big bill in this category. Thank you very much. We ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Got about a minute.
Okay, make it quick. Good morning, committee members. Melissa Sparks-Kranz with the League of California Cities in support of SB 1143. As mentioned, local governments, including cities and counties, are responsible for solid waste and household hazardous waste management. Our jurisdictions operate permanent facilities, temporary events, and used oil collection sites. There are 151 permanent household hazardous waste facilities across the state. Our programs accept household hazardous waste from households, from small businesses, from abandoned sites, and solid waste load check programs. We strive, again, to keep these programs free or as low cost for residential households to avoid illegal dumping that we ultimately have to manage through abandoned waste sites. As mentioned, household hazardous waste is extremely expensive for local governments to manage. Local governments have no control over the manufacturers and what's introduced into this stream, and we and our taxpayers have to manage those costs and manage the end of life of the materials. Again, many products cost us much more than what it is at the end of life than it costs consumers to pay at the point of sale, and we believe that SB 1143 fills a big gap in our existing EPR program. So thank you. I'd also like to register the support of our rural county representatives of California as well.
Thank you. Those wishing to add on as Me Too's and support here in 1200.
Good afternoon. Doug Kobold, Executive Director of California Product Stewardship Council. We've been working with Senator Allen and the sponsors on this bill to fully support the bill and continue have all the faith in the world that Senator Allen and his staff will get this bill through. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Jason Schmelzer here on behalf of the Western Placer Waste Management Authority in strong support of the bill. This is hugely expensive for us. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Kiara Ross on behalf of the town of Truckee in support of the bill.
Bill Alio, Environmental Working Group, came on after the analysis. Thank you.
Pasha Sharma on behalf of Pesticide Action Network and Californians for Pesticide Reform in support.
Kayla Robinson on behalf of Rethink Waste and Seventh Generation in support. Thank you.
Priscilla Quiroz on behalf of Alameda Stop Waste in support.
Hi, I'm Courtney Scott, the Household Hazardous Waste Program Manager for Zero Waste Sonoma. We strongly support, and through the National Stewardship Action Council, we have permission to also provide support for Napa Recycling and Waste Services, Marin Sanitary Service, and Sea Hugger.
Crystal Reines,
a part of Californians Against Waste in support, as well as on behalf of EnviroVoters.
Yareli Magallon on behalf of San Mateo County in support.
Janet Cox in strong support for Climate Action California, 350 Sacramento, and the California Coalition of the Climate Reality Project. Thank you.
Jake Stotz with the Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts in support. Thank you.
Do we have registered opposition on this?
Ariana Creed with cleanearthforkids.org in support. Also, those in support are California Initiatives for Environmental Health and Justice, FACTS, Grandparents in Action, Mamas, North County Equity and Justice, Interfaith Coalition for Environmental Justice, and NCCCA. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Michael Caprio here on behalf of Republic Services in support.
Josh Simpson, Little Camper Propane in support.
Justin Malone for the Environmental Health Administrators and Heal the Bay. Thank you.
Mike Robeson, once again on behalf of Worthington Enterprises, in support. Look forward to working with you.
Emily Pappas, Nemela Pappas and Associates. We are in a between, we don't have a position yet, but we wanted, on behalf of Animal Health Institute, the manufacturers and producers of animal medicines, and we believe that with the addition of the amendments around pesticides, it loops us in. We are federally regulated and looking, we had a good conversation with Tina yesterday and look forward to having continued conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, members. David Gonzalez today on behalf of the California Life Sciences. I'd like to associate myself with the comments of Ms. Pappas and look forward to working with the author.
Great, thank you.
Okay, those, we have opposition. You're welcome to come up. 4 minutes.
Chair, members. Nicole Quinones representing the Household and Commercial Products Association, regretfully in opposition to SB 1143. Our members manufacture several of the products included in the scope of this bill, from pesticides, including household products like disinfectants, to aerosol products, to automotive products, and others. First, I want to say we appreciate the author's office and the sponsors for their willingness to engage with us on this important topic. We do have a history of working well together on tough issues, and we are committed to doing the same on this bill as well. However, we do believe additional study is warranted prior to passing another large EPR program. Hazardous waste in California is complicated. The state has adopted criteria to determine what is hazardous waste, resulting in a number of additional products being managed as HHW than would be in other states or under federal rules. As part of the Department of Toxic Substances Control's Hazardous Waste Management Plan, which is due in 2025, DTSC intends to evaluate several issues related to hazardous waste management in the state, including the criteria used in California to determine what is hazardous. This plan will also include a waste reduction and capacity assurance strategy, as capacity to manage hazardous waste within the state has decreased. We believe this work will be incredibly informative on how to better manage HHW in the state. And while we appreciate the author's recent amendments to clarify the scope of the program, we are concerned that this would create unfair treatment under the law, where manufacturers required to join the PRO would be subsidizing products which are not in scope of the bill but still meet the criteria for HHW. Addressing the criteria itself would create a more even playing field and less confusion for consumers. As the first step towards strengthening existing infrastructure and programs, we also support conducting a needs assessment to form a baseline of goal setting and determine the correct policy responses. We recognize EPR can be a successful in certain applications, but that doesn't mean it is the only option. Passing legislation before a needs assessment has been conducted and DTSC has sufficiently evaluated the hazardous waste criteria is premature and could be an inefficient use of the state's, manufacturers, and constituent resources. Lastly, California recently enacted SB 54, the most comprehensive and rigorous EPR program in the country. Senator Allen knows it well, and which is designed to manage packaging and waste and source reduction. To be successful, this program demands the resources and time of many of the same companies within the scope of this bill across diverse industries, as well as state staff who are currently implementing the program. So we urge the legislature to allow SB 54 2024 to be fully implemented before layering new EPR programs on top of it. For these reasons, we are opposed to SB 1143. Thank you.
Thank you. Those wishing to register opposition here in 1200.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair. Dawn Kepke with McHugh Kepke Padron on behalf of the California Manufacturers and Technology Association. Also in opposition for the reasons stated by Ms. Quinones. We do, however, look forward to ongoing conversations with the Senator and sponsors. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Kelly LaRue with the American Cleaning Institute in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Shustig with the American Chemistry Council. We do have a long history of working on EPR issues constructively and look forward to continuing that work. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
All right. I don't see anybody else up there, so we'll bring it back to the dais. Any questions from members? Senator Skinner.
It's a good bill, and I appreciate the author bringing it forward. I appreciate the work of the Product Stewardship Council, and I'll move it.
Okay, I have a motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Senator Allen, you may close.
No, I appreciate the discussion. I really do look forward to, this is always hard, getting the details, and there are different details. This is a similar framework to 54, but a different set of products, and so I do appreciate I appreciate those distinctions. And I will say we've got a significant financial burden currently on our cities and counties, and every step of the way that cities and counties have been such an important partner here. I mean, ultimately, this is burdening our ratepayers, and that doesn't even start to get into the environmental and health concerns associated with hazardous products. So. That's why we believe we really can't wait to address the problem. Look forward to the negotiations and continuing conversations we're going to be having with opposition and various representatives from industry. But certainly would appreciate the support of this committee and respect for your ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
SB 1143, the motion is due, pass, and re-refer to the Committee on Judiciary. Senators Allen? Aye. Allen, aye. Dally? No. Dally, no. Gonzalez? Hurtado? Menjivar? Aye. Menjivar, aye. Wynn?
You don't want to save them on the other bills.
Wynn, no. Skinner? Aye. Skinner, aye.
Okay, let's thank you everybody. Let's call